Slide. Alrighty, at Atlas, it's really an assessment of volume of water on the terrain. Really is to help just guide flood awareness. Given that there is not information readily coming from the locals, it allows the locals then to look and see what happens if water were just to be left to accumulate at the lowest points. That hopefully helps guide them in their decisions that they make and how they manipulate water across the landscape and work with the other actions that we'll talk about here in a little bit to mitigate how much water actually makes it onto the lake bed. Let's go to the next slide. So here's an example, and the image here shows at 1 million acre feet of water, get a water surface elevation of 184 feet above sea level. Lake bed elevation is 170. So does not consider any actions to deal with water. It just says if 1 million acre feet of water ended up at the bottom of the lake bed based on our LIDAR survey in 2021, this is what would happen. Gives a sense of the extent of the flooding and highlights areas that need response measures to change the outcomes. So the Atlas has elevations mapped from 171 to 200 feet of elevation. It's mapped in 1 foot increments, and this is again made available to the locals to help them in their planning. Let's go to the next slide. All right, here's an example of kind of output you get from those riverine models that we work with in partnership with the Corps. Take a reservoir release and then run it through the computer model, which models the flow of the water through the channels, identifies any areas where you might have water going out of channel and potentially into communities. And the local counties can request specific scenarios be run if they have concerns about a particular community. Next slide. All right, that's it for me. So hand it off to Paul Goslin to talk about the groundwater recharge work.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Paul Goslin. I'm Deputy Director at DWR for the Sustainable Groundwater Management Office. What I'm going to talk to you about is some of the flood diversions and groundwater recharge efforts that are going on. Next slide, please. So one of the things we started, and we called it the weekly runoff and recharge outreach and local assistance. And this goes up and down the central and southern San Joaquin Valley. Since the January floods, we have initiated efforts to contact and coordinate with approximately 108 permitted recharge facilities and water banks, and to coordinate reservoir releases and flood releases with those entities to ensure that they're able to divert those flood flows into their recharge basins to help minimize impacts downstream. Many of these recharge basins were funded from the state as part of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act and others. But what we wanted to do is to make sure that to the maximum extent possible, these waters could be diverted off to protect communities, as well as providing some secondary groundwater recharge. Next slide. Now I'll focus on Tulare Lake. So one of the things that has really advanced efforts is the governor's executive order that came out to clarify and streamline the flood diversion process and recharge programs. So we've been working principally in Area 2 to, again, focus in on this coordination with diversions and recharge operations. So we've been doing this on a regular weekly basis and coordinating. It's not going to eliminate all the flood risk downstream, but it will minimize and actually hopefully alleviate some of the stress along the water bodies. One thing we did identify is a lot of the agencies have reached their maximum capacity for what pumps they have available. So we've initiated efforts to do what's called a temporary pump program. And what this is we're, through an emergency contract, are coordinating the access of additional pumps for these agencies to be able to utilize. Fresno Irrigation District has been the first one to take advantage of this. I think they're going to be operational today, and we're looking. We've had a great outreach from other agencies who are looking to take advantage of this. So it's really part of our coordination effort to help assist local agencies on their flood diversions. And again, hopefully going to provide some additional recharge. But again, the primary emphasis is to reduce the risk to downstream communities. To date, through the executive order, the efforts are reported to the State Water Resources Control Board. Again, this is emergency flood diversions. You don't need a water right permit. But to date, there's been approximately 55,000 acre feet since March, since the executive order went into place. And that's roughly about 55,000 acres that have been land that's been diverted. Now, the question is, we're still going to be tracking over time how much actually gets recharged. But again, that's going to take time because recharge occurs at different rates in different lands. But again, the primary emphasis is to assist those local agencies on flood diversions. With that, I can turn it back. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Paul, and thanks, Dr. Anderson. So we are going to go ahead and open it up for questions from credentialed media. Again, we're using the hand raising function, so please utilize that, and we'll call on you in order that your hand was raised. I do want to note that we also have additional folks available for questions from the State Water Project, from the Division of Flood Management, as well as from our Snow Surveys group. So we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. We'll start with Ian James from the LA Times. Ian, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Wanted to ask about the Tulare Lake Atlas that you mentioned and the larger plan. Sorry, just getting that up here. So the Tulare Lake Atlas seems geared toward providing information that local flood control districts can use. Does the state have a plan for flood management in the basin that mitigates or prevents cities and towns from being inundated, towns like Allensworth, Alpaugh, or others?
All right, this is Mike Anderson. Hi there, Ian. In response, so the emergencies are managed locally. All emergencies start local, coordinated then through state and federal as conditions grow. We've been down, as Brian mentioned at the beginning, been down there working with them for the past month, hand in hand, to show them, introduce, ask for some data to help our tools better serve them. So it's work in progress. Locals have made it clear that they have their notion of how they want to manage this. And so we remain in support posture for them while they work through that.
All right, our next question comes from Daniel Trotta with Reuters.
Good afternoon. Once again, I'm Karina Nova, live here in the ABC7 newsroom, and you've been listening to an update from the Department of Water Resources, giving us some more information on preparations for the Tulare Basin flood preparations that they're going to be doing as we get ready to deal with some warmer weather and, of course, the historic snowpack that we saw over the last few months this year. So we just got that latest update from them. We wanted to bring that to you live so you had that information. We'll have much more for you later on this evening in our later newscast. Our next newscast is ABC7 News at 3, Getting Answers, and we'll be on at 4, 5, and 6 this evening. We're going to wrap it up for now. Thank you for watching our live stream. I'm Karina Nova, and we're going to take you back to regular programming.
Acres or whatnot, and also
I'm Liz Corrigan Novato. You're watching ABC7 Bay Area, streaming live anytime, anywhere. We are where you are.